Morning, boys and girls. Today we're having our literature class and we're going to talk about Henry David Thoreau, Walden, an essay. And let's begin with asking ourselves, do we trace or do we make a chart about our course? As a person, Henry David Thoreau was a nonconformist. Let's be careful to understand this term, nonconformist. Nothing to do with the Spanish word conformista. No, definitely nothing to do. A nonconformist is a person who does not follow the mainstream. It's a person who's always rowing the boat backward. Society often gives negative labels to people who go against the general accepted beliefs. Throughout life, we are taught a set of values that explain us which are the socially acceptable behaviors and which are the not socially acceptable behaviors. And according to those sets of values, is that society gives the negative labels to people. Yet, many nonconformists like Henry David Thoreau are often simply ahead of their time. Let's think a little bit about ourselves. Are we people that follow the mainstream or are we nonconformist people? Let's try to find out a famous nonconformist. Let's choose one who is most interesting to us. Let's discuss how that person went against the mainstream and how society reacted to him. Was this person punished or was this person supported by other people? Try to do that in the notebook because when we get back anytime, I'm going to be asking for it. Make sure that you are very explicit explaining things. What's the text analysis? Essay. And let's begin by defining essay. Essay is a work of nonfiction, often loosely structured, expressing the writer's personal views on a simple subject. So, to analyze an essay, we have to pay careful attention to the theoretical or persuasive power of the following elements. First element, the writer's tone. This is the attitude toward his or her subject. Second, the figurative language that communicates ideas beyond the literal meaning of the words and that makes abstract ideas easier to understand and to catch. The anecdotes or the short accounts of the personal incidents. And finally, the imagery, those images that create vivid pictures in the reader's mind. The reading strategy is to evaluate ideas. To evaluate the writer's ideas, the first thing we have to do is to examine those ideas carefully. And then, only then, make judgments about their value. There's a chart that is very useful. In the left side, we have the author's ideas and beliefs. And on the right side, we have my reaction to those ideas and beliefs. For example, in the essay Walden of Henry David Thoreau, he says, our life is frittered away by detail. Simplify, simplify. What's my reaction? I definitely agree. In our lives, we have so many details that we don't pay attention to the very simple thing. And what's the simple thing of our life? Enjoy life. And with all those details, I cannot enjoy it. I have to be thinking how I can be a good husband. I have to be thinking how I can be a good son. I have to be thinking how I can be a good parent, how to be a good teacher, how to be a good employee, how to be a good co worker, how to be a good person. And the only thing I should be thinking about is how I should live life and enjoy life. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. What's the purpose to read Walden? Well, to learn about Henry David Thoreau's views of society and the individual. What's the background of this essay? First, let's begin talking that Henry David Thoreau was a transcendentalist. Second, he felt the need to strengthen his unity with nature. So on July 4, 1845, he began an experiment in what he thought as the essential living. And what's the essential living for him? Living simply, studying the natural world, and seeking truth within himself. So what did he do? He went to a land that was owned by Ralph Waldo Emerson near Concord, Massachusetts. In that place, Thoreau built a small cabin by Walden Pond. And he lived there for more than 2 years. What did he do during that time? Well, he wrote about nature and he studied nature. Walden, this essay, is just the story, the record of his experiences during those 2 years. Now, I have a question, right? And probably you have the same question. Where on earth did he get the money to live those 2 years? He had to eat. Obviously, he didn't have to pay a rent because he lived in a cabin that he built in the land of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He didn't have to pay for it either. But that's the point. What can we do? Now, the essay begins on page 148 and finishes on page 158. Today you're going to read from page 148 to page 153, and you are going to answer the questions of the monitor your comprehension that is in the sides of each page. Guys, enjoy life. Remember, from 7 to 1:45, we're in school, even though we're not going physically to it. Use that time to study all the subjects so that you will not have problems.